Tim Moore and Maria Rivera Gray are school board members attending a National School Boards Association conference. During an earlier conversation, they became aware that they shared a common question. What's the best way to set up an effective local grassroots lobbying program? John Bartlett, also a board member, has such a program. He's always recognized that lobbying for education is a legitimate part of a school board member's role. When board members convince local, state, and federal officials to place a priority on education, it benefits the school children in their districts, and it truly shows democracy in action. Tim and Maria recognized John's expertise in bringing the community behind his own individual lobbying efforts, and they offered him a deal. They'll buy lunch if he'll provide a tutorial on the basics to his grassroots success. Looks like he accepted. We'll join them later when they've gotten into the heart of the matter of this lobbying discussion.
Thank you. All right. Thank you.
All right, looks like lunch is over, so let's join our group and listen in.
No, we're fine, thanks. I guess I'm up, huh?
I guess so. We're both really looking forward to hearing what you did in your district to create such a strong grassroots lobbying program.
Well, we should start by using the right verb. It's not what we did, it's what we do. Lobbying's an ongoing effort. The second you assume you're done, well, you're right. You're done, okay? Kaput goes the lobbying program. We follow the same steps we use to build the program to keep it active and productive. You can never stop building on your grassroots lobbying program.
All right, so lesson one is never stop improving your lobbying.
Okay, we know the lobbying story never ends. How does it begin?
At home. Begin with building the support of your own school board members. Make sure your fellow board members find out why you need a strong grassroots lobbying effort and that there's an established internal structure for lobbying.
We seem to be in pretty good shape in terms of board support.
Same here.
It's the internal structure I'd like to hear more about.
Okay, but before I go on to that, let me mention the importance of working with your superintendent on federal issues. See if the superintendent can designate a staff person to help you and the school board in your outreach to the community and your grassroots network.
And the staff person can also provide data to help your efforts, right?
Absolutely. Okay, let's get back to getting your board on board. First, it's critical that you communicate information about any important education issues, including action issues, both current and future ones. Communicate any actions Congress takes on those issues, as well as any actions you or your board takes.
No surprises, right?
No surprises. So be sure to talk about key votes by your representative or senators and how those votes impact your school district for the public record during the board meeting. And discuss any letter that you or the board as a whole plan to send to commend or express disappointment in the vote. Keep the story going on key issues so they don't forget.
We're pretty good about that.
Good. Also, make sure your board has a plan for a swift response to calls to action from the National School Boards Association and your State School Boards Association. Now, there are a couple of things you can do to ensure you can act quickly. Know NSBA's positions on issues. Place the issue on the board agenda to nail down the information and how you might respond when votes come up. Clarify whether you have advance agreement to speak for the board on issues or as an individual member. If not, create a process when there's need for an immediate response. Sometimes an issue is going to require a fast call to action or a follow-up letter after a vote.
Sometimes. It seems like that's the case most of the time.
It sure does. But in reality, you'll have plenty of opportunities to plan for dealing with most issues. Now, let's talk about some things you can do then. For instance, your board should consider passing a resolution when you support or oppose federal legislation. Send a copy to your state school board association, NSBA, other school boards, local groups for endorsement and follow-up actions, and always to the local media. And that brings us to the heartbeat of lobbying, networking. You can't lobby effectively without networking.
I'm not quite sure what you mean. Networking with...
Well, first, there's networking with other school boards nearby. If you haven't already done it, work to create a network among the boards that are going to be the most effective and productive for your area. Might be countywide or based on your congressional district or some other strategy that works best.
And the point of this network would be
To bring the power of these school boards behind your position to work on federal legislation. Let me give you several ways to do that. One is to hold an annual meeting with them to discuss legislative priorities for the coming Congress. Food never hurts attendance at these things, so maybe make it a working breakfast or lunch meeting.
I'm there.
Me too. Beyond the food, though, annual meetings are a good tool for taking care of a bunch of items. For instance, how about connecting with the local member of Congress? Maybe even an invitation to speak. This is a chance for the representative to meet a lot of school board members at one time. Present your agenda. Give him or her a packet of materials from local districts supporting your positions. It might also be helpful, where it's the case, to mention that these are the positions of your state association and NSBA as well.
Yeah, good idea. That ought to get the members' attention.
I think we're fine. Thank you. Never underestimate the power of numbers. Just imagine you have 26 school boards in one congressional district, and you get 15 or 20 of them to contact the member of Congress. Well, that really says something.
it really does.
Yeah, and I'll tell you something else we find very effective. We have an email list that we use to distribute NSBA's calls to action to everyone in our network. It's a great tool for keeping our area school boards informed, current, and all on the same page.
Fantastic. We do some networking inside the district. But, you know, I really hadn't thought about networking outside it.
Give it a try. But tell me, what are you doing with your networking inside the district?
Whoa, I'm not paying for 2 lunches.
You only pay if you use anything.
Fair enough.
Actually, well, it's pretty basic. We created a network in the district with members of the board, teachers and administrators, parents, and people from the community.
Good group. The business community is a good ally that we sometimes overlook. Plus, look to broader community groups to become a part of your network, including people who supported your campaign for the school board. So, how do you use this network?
Well, when we need to mount a campaign on an issue, we hold an agenda-specific meeting with these folks and acquaint them with the issue. Then we explain our call to action program for the campaign and charge them to put it into effect.
Good idea.
Okay, I owe you.
Where's that dessert menu?
I've created a monster. How are you using the network membership?
Well, once they're up to speed on the issue and the call to action program, we use them to spread the word by presenting the issue to parent groups and at other community-based organizational meetings. Sometimes we acquaint the local PTA leaders with the issue and ask them to include the subject in their messages to their members. You can also find and include people in the community who know the representative. You know, high school buddies, business associates, social club members.
Great. Are you using email in your network?
When you mentioned that earlier, I thought to myself, nuts, we missed one.
Right. Well, let me suggest that you create an email list. Use it to forward calls to action to your network members to either sign on to your message or to send a separate message to Washington.
Yeah, we'll implement that as soon as I get back.
And you know what else is great? NSBA's email call to action typically has a link that allows you to go online and send a sample letter that you can customize. You can include local data. It's a simple system for contacting Congress you should take advantage of. After lunch, check out the advocacy page on their website. You could even set up a link on your school district webpage.
I'll be getting on board with that too. This is all really helpful, John.
Well, I'm glad. Let's talk for a minute about media relations as part of your lobbying effort. It's important that we understand our relevance to the media. Our issues are important to their readers, listeners, and viewers, so our issues make good story material. And As board members, we are decision makers and influencers. On education issues, your opinion matters to their audience, and so it matters to the media. It's important to remember that.
When you say it like that, it shines a whole different light on working with the media.
Well, it's true. But networking success with the media is ultimately going to require that you be proactive. Identify and get to know the education reporters. Develop relationships with them so that they see you as a primary source for education stories and features. Provide resource material to help them understand federal issues. NSBA materials are really helpful in that regard. Emphasize the local impact on our community school children and taxpayers. Believe me, the media will welcome your input.
Well, I can vouch for that.
So, you have a media networking program?
I call it more of a good newspaper effort. We've developed a good relationship with the education reporters. Yeah, we've done that. And we work the editorial pages pretty well.
Fill us in.
Uh-oh, I think my free lunch is at risk.
Absolutely. If you use any of this, you know the drill. Same deal.
Deal.
Okay. When there's a key vote coming up, we make sure we write an op-ed piece for the local paper. Then we contact the editors and request that they run it. If they can't, you know, space issues or other commitments, we submit letters to the editor as a backup strategy.
Good idea. We do that too.
Well, hang on, there's more. We don't just do that for the dailies. We also network with the community and neighborhood papers and their e-newsletters that publish less often. You have to know their unique submission deadlines and delivery dates so that you don't miss the opportunity to get published before key votes take place. This is where a school district staff person can help. We offer these papers timeless stories that lay out the case or build support for a later story around key votes. Timeliness of the stories isn't quite the concern that it is with dailies, so the pieces are more likely to get published.
Shoot, hold the dessert menu.
Anyway, one neat thing about getting stories in the neighborhood and community papers is that research shows that people tend to read them cover to cover as opposed to the dailies, where some folks just go to their favorite sections. But then again, the dailies do have a bigger audience, so doing both is helpful.
Hey, that's something I didn't know and that I'll definitely pass along.
Well, beginning to look like I'm the only one getting a free lunch.
Well, let me see if I can win mine back. There are 3 other media networking opportunities you don't want to overlook. Number 1, network with local radio stations. Their talk shows are often looking to book guests who can bring expertise to important topics. And on education issues, that's you and your other board members. Also, be sure to network with the television stations, especially the cable stations. Many cable operations have short programs that highlight local community events and issues and look for guests to talk about them. And if your district has its own station, use it. And of course, there's the internet. Look for opportunities to network with sites that share your positions. Share information and link to each other's sites. Of course, you can create an email listserv with your local lobbying network in your own district and neighboring districts. And if you really want to be bold, start a blog. It can connect you with anyone who wants to discuss education issues online. Sometimes even student groups like to get involved in this.
That's a lot of networking opportunities.
I know. I just never thought about all those resources before.
Oh, and here's one more thought. Why not consider coordinating your media efforts with nearby school districts to have a stronger impact? Now, where's that dessert menu?
I really need to ensure that we do all of these things you're suggesting on a consistent basis. Seems like a lot, though. How do you find the time?
Just take it one step at a time. Start by getting your board on board and go from there, building relationships in the community. As you said, it's just important to be consistent and keep your goal in mind.
Boy, this has been quite a tutorial.
Very helpful.
By the way, NSBA's internet tools can be a real asset to your lobbying success. For instance, you can circulate their weekly highlights and its calls to action through your website or your email list. Not to mention, your state school boards association always has great lobbying tools to use.
I've got to check that out.
Me too. Thank you for all of this, John.
My pleasure. I do have one last call to action to bring up. How about we top this off with a call to action on a piece of this place's mile-high chocolate fudge ice cream pie? My treat.
I'm in.
I'm out. I'm going to go write up my notes and get a workout in before the next session. You guys, have a really nice climb.
Well, to each his or her own workout program, huh?
Absolutely.
All right. Waitress?
The National School Boards Association provides more information and help with your lobbying efforts on its website at nsba.org/advocacy.